Hello. I was grateful over the Christmas and New Year period, and I'm grateful that I was able to spend quite a lot of time wood carving. And I also lately made this little knife here using a Mora blade blank, Mora of Sweden. I think this is maybe from the 90s or thereabouts. It's an oldie. So I had this piece of beech, green beech. It looked like a knife handle to me. So I got this in there, and then of course, as it dried, against my best hopes and wishes, it cracked quite a lot here and there and all over. I also really fudged the peening of the tang. Yeah. But I did end up with a functional knife. Quite good for spoon carving, quite nice. Very lightweight. It just, takes a good edge. Doesn't hold it that great, maybe, but well, it's early days. We're not really off the factory edge steel yet. And I also, actually, before that, I did this one, which is a castrum spoon carving or hook knife, blank, with this green wood that I found in the woods. I think it's some kind of moldy process, and actually, this spoon, because I had the spoons soaking, and then I put them in a bag so they could start to dry out gently. And this one came out with some green mold, as now represented by these smudges. So that perhaps is the mold in question, or maybe not. But we can have a little go with these knives, see how they work. Most of these spoons, get about ready for spooning, really, so to speak. I think maybe this wood is birch. I was thinking ash, but it's the way that it holds the moisture so well and went moldy. Maybe it's birch. I don't know. But it's nice though. I like this one. Got a good shape. Got some cool spalting going on here. So this was a piece of cut wood from a wood pile that predates me. It's just a pile of wood that somebody had cut and left lying around. Hence, I'm not sure what kind of wood it is. But it was on the ground, and so it was cut a few years ago, but this part never dried out. Or maybe it is ash, actually, thinking back. This was a piece of firewood that was all curly. So, you smooth it out, and then you get the chatoyance, these stripy effects. Look, put some coffee on here. Look better when wet or oiled. Yeah, bowl could use a little work on this one. I kind of wanted to make this handle in a hurry. In the end, it took me a bit of time. Well, it's the same with this one as well. But yeah, the notion was, we'll just put a handle on this thing quickly so I can use it, because I couldn't find my other hook knife, which is a castrum that came with the handle on it, and a little blade guard. And they're good. I think it's really good steel. It feels good to sharpen. They come sharp. But it's kind of a hollow grind they put on it, and so it doesn't steer, so the blade is not so steerable, I found. It's sharp, like a new Mora, really. Same kind of thing. They cut in well from the factory, but they don't cut out so well until you start to apple seed that edge a little bit. This is apple wood, speaking of apples. This is a piece of apple wood off one of our apple trees. Coming along nicely. Another tool I've been using a lot. I have a few different scraper options. But this is what's in my right hand pocket at the moment as well. This Sodbuster Junior with this lovely jigged bone, green bone, came with a very kind of spatulate tip to it, kind of like a half shovel profile, more so than other Sodbusters. Even I mean, this is pretty typical Sodbuster, but also I have accentuated now that shape through sharpening and even indeed through use, because this bit gets more stressed when I'm scraping, ergo, it's taking more wear. But with this curve, you can get in pretty much anywhere and scrape out the bowl of any spoon. Yeah, so this is the masterpiece anyway. This is meant to be a sauna ladle. So not for cooking, actually, for throwing the water on the hot rocks in the sauna. Might have to figure out how to make a sauna bucket too. So this is cherry wood. Had this knot here. That goes most of the way through to the other side, but we're safe. I actually started making this and these cracks opened out at the end here. Well, this was still just a big bulbous bowl because I had to keep some of the pith, right, in order to get... Usually you would take that part off when you're making a spoon, but in order to get enough of a bowl out of this piece of cherry... Oops, I left that, and so then it started to crack here. But I put it in the bowl to soak, and those cracks, even though they looked big, they were like splaying out. They didn't go up that way. So I thought, well, I could still... It's not for cooking with, so I could still solve this maybe with some epoxy or something. But that cracked part pretty much whittled out. And I think this is going to be really, really good when it's done, if I do say so myself. It's got this shape that kind of naturally develops here that makes for a bit of a handle and lets you get a bit of a slenderer curve. Well, I spent hours on this thing. Again, let's drip some coffee on here to see what the grain's going to look like when this gets oiled. Cherry wood, gorgeous. Standing dead cherry. Oh, there was a bow. That's in it. That's over, and I'm not going to go and get that. But there's a story with this bow that I was making from this same cherry wood. It got all kinds of cracks in it, but I think that I can solve that with twine epoxy. And I'll come back to the twine epoxy in a minute. I think I can solve a lot of my own personal issues in the blade world with twine epoxy. Yeah, this thing. Had it for a while. I think it was a maple, young maple, that got choked out by a bittersweet vine. Left this spiral. Kind of looks like a snake slithering up a pole. So I thought that could be carved sensitively to further snakeify it. Put a little head there. Little forked tongue. It's almost a one-eyed snake already. But it kind of seems like an implement, but it's not really comfortable to make a handle. I felt like, wow, could I make a cool handle out of this? But it doesn't really sit quite right in the hand for grip or indexing or anything. There is a kind of a grip area down here, however, that is quite comfortable, and then that it almost has this kind of pistol-like sway. So you see where we're heading, right, with this kind of thing, but you got to really be careful with that stuff. I don't play around, and I wouldn't make an implement for someone else that of power that I guess unless I were really confident in the user, So a back scratcher, that's what I think for this. I'm going to make whittle a hand that'll go here, so that I can have a fun project carving a hand, and then it's got this way, it has this kind of kick on it. So it really will already does a pretty good job as a back scratcher. But with a wee scratchy hand there, or a claw, maybe eagle claw. I don't know, something. Suggestions are welcome on that account. So we'll maybe get around to that someday. But I enjoy an active fantasy life. This one has already featured this splitting axe with the handle in cherry. So there you see kind of nice color that the cherry will take when it's you know, oiled and what have you, used a bit. I'm very pleased with the result, and this is the twine epoxy. If anyone's new, that's just, you know, bound up with twine that has been soaked in epoxy resin and then refinished, and it is extremely strong. So the deal with cherry, it's a porous hardwood, so in that regard it's good for an axe handle. It has great shock absorption, and it's lightweight, strong, but it's not very hard. It will easily take a dent, and so that's the solution. But even on a hickory handle or any kind of handle, this will reinforce the area of the axe that, you know, of the whole unit that takes the most stress, which is right in here. Even if you're not overstriking and pounding this, which is what happened here, and I got eaten out with the previous handle, you know, even if you're using correctly, this is, according to what I hear from the authorities, this is the area that's always going to start to fail first. So that is really reinforced. Now, if it does start to fail, maybe you don't get to see what's going on under there. But I don't know. I can't see this easily having a catastrophic failure. You know, I think it, just like you would usually expect, it'll start to come loose and you'll start to see stuff. I messed this up. I should have left a little bit extra there. But when I did the first cut, it was too flush, and then there was just a little extra poking out, and then I finished that down, and I thought, well, that's not really how it's done, is it? Because if you leave that lip there, that's, I mean, there is still a tiny lip there. So that will help a little mechanically, and in any case, it's probably not coming off anytime soon. So that project led to this head here. Oops, tidy this up a little bit. Which is a Big Mama. It's a lot bigger than the other one. And so I'm making a Big Mama handle. And this one has a lot more flaws in it than the other piece. And it's still pretty rough. But the other handle came out incidentally with no planning at exactly 28 inches from the kind of heel of the pommel here, where, you know, where your hand would naturally end its grip, to the top of the head. And this is coming in at 32 to here, or if you see there's a little lump, kind of a swell there, that would be 29 inches to there. Because really this is already well thick enough that that could be your pommel. So I'm keeping my options open with this one. So I don't know, it's very long at the moment, shaping up to be very long. But yeah, I've got this all to where it needs to be now, and I do that before I cut or at least so I have done so thus far, making my own axe handles. I wait until this stage before I cut the groove, because I want to be sure everything lines up. And once you cut the groove, it's way easier to get the head on and off for fitting. That is true. But a wedge. I made a wedge. That's how far we got now. I was looking around for wedge options. The other one I used a piece of walnut, but it was some scrap that I had, and I have some more walnut, but I'd like to make knife handles with the pieces I have. So I was looking around for this and that. I started making one from lilac, but lilac has this very greasy feel to it. It's very smooth, so I don't think it's as sticky. It is very strong. But here's this birch root ball that I had already kicking around, and I'd cut this piece out of it to see whether I could make a knife handle. I think people do use this stuff. It's got some cool stuff going on if you polished it up and what have you. But it feels pretty soft. It doesn't feel very hard. I guess you could finish it. Anyway, I cut a piece off the end there. And that's where my wedge came from. Hand carved. Finished on sandpaper. So yeah, I got some witness marks going on in there, and just gotta get my little handsaw and cut the groove, tap it all together. But with this handle, because of this massive breakout here and all this knottedness, and so my twine epoxy plan here is to go all the way down. Also, I left this kind of double heel thing here to account for this, to accommodate that, because that is weaker. And in any case, because the handle's so long, and your hand will come up to here, and it kind of sits nicely if you do want it at full extension. That kind of sits in your palm and slides, okay? So, yeah, I'm going to twine epoxy that, and I think I'm probably going to do this as well. Do bands, you know? Should be kind of styling. Have a band up here, a smaller band there. There's a wormhole there, but that's fine. I don't see that as a structural risk whatsoever because it's that way with the grain. You know, fill that with epoxy, that'll be fine, I reckon. Could even, I did this with my war club. You can take twine epoxy and fill holes. Grab it for me. So this is lilac, right? So this crack, this big crack here, I filled using actual twine. Just kind of mashed it in there with the epoxy and then finished it. So what I'm doing here is replicating the grain of the wood, right? It's not just a homogeneous filler or a solid epoxy, which of course is very strong, but it doesn't have the tensile strength that you get from the fibers in there. So thank you. Yes, that was a good idea. And I use this. This is also twine epoxy here. It's a little ugly because I keep, every time I have, well, oftentimes when I have extra epoxy left over, I just slap it on here and then I give it a bit of a file or something. So it's not looking so pretty. But whenever it's finally finished, if ever, it's going to be pretty cool. Hickory axe handle encrusted with, I think there's a walnut pins maybe. And yeah, I'll use this for the axe handle, right? For tapping the head on and off. You put the head on and then you tap on the bottom and it curls up the handle. Pretty cool, fun. And then to bang it off again, bang, 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 bang. You tap on either side of the, that's the way I figured it out anyway. Just tap on either side of the head and it works its way back down again. And you do that 100 times and adjust in between each, and you end up getting as far as I've got, which probably other people will do in 5 minutes. Somehow. I'm figuring it out. And I like things to line up as well as I can get them. Goodness me, I've gone on for a while, haven't I? So, is there something else I was going to say? Right, I was working my way down here, saying we could fill that maybe with twine. And then do another band of twine epoxy down here for strength and decoration. And, well, tell a story. Excuse me, coffee break. Smoke break. Had a grind on this last night. I was overexcited. I went to a friend's house. He keeps pigs. He has 3 pigs. Actually, I believe this morning of the super wolf moon, he slaughtered these 3 pigs, and on Tuesday he's gonna start the butchering with some assistance. And he was telling me about this, and I said, "Well, you must have knives that need sharpening, right? Maybe you should let me sharpen your knives for you." And he agreed that that was a good idea. And so I drove over to his house, about an hour's drive away. Met with him, so his family and some other people I know actually who happened to be there. So that was fun. And then he got his knives out, 10, if I recall, knives, many of which were Victorinox fillet knives, quite kind of similar to this in the blade profile and concept, although obviously this is folding. But yeah, plastic handles, cheapest chips. You buy them in a pack, and they're like under $20 a knife, with whatever basic stainless steel. Now on this Kershaw folding fillet, we have a 420 J2, which is a whole topic unto itself. But yeah, I sharpened the knives for him, and they all more and less needed sharpening mostly. Oh, I got to make a video because he has this knife, this marble skinning knife. I've never seen anything like it. So hopefully coming up on the channel, we'll have a little video about this marble skinning knife, a really unique thing. I think it'd be very good for taking the meat off a pig's skull. I did that once years ago with my brothers, and that's painstaking work right there. So yeah, when I got home, I kind of wanted to keep sharpening fillet knives. And this is like the only fillet knife I have, really. Funnily enough, I mean, we have some stuff in the kitchen that is, we have case kitchen knives. There's one that's like a fillet knife, but it's very thin. It's not like these thin, flexy, cheapo things that he's using, which are obviously that's the thing to get the job done, right, for the workman. And yeah, I'm kind of entertaining the notion of going to help him with the butchering. And so in case I do that, I have my own fillet knife here ready. And yeah, I actually pulled out another knife that I thought might be quite nice for breaking down